Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of the Lover Archetype, and in today's video I'm going to tell you a personal story of how the wounded lover surfaces in my life, my battle with addiction, and what I'm trying to do to integrate this split off part of my personality. So, as I mentioned in part 1 of the Lover Archetype, which you can reach on the link in the description below if you haven't already seen it, the lover is a binding energy which determines what the ego associates with and becomes attached to in the external world. But that also includes concrete attitudes, fixed beliefs and personality traits that you have become attached to as well. So when this archetype is split off and underdeveloped, this energy typically surfaces as addictions that provide you with comfort and a reprieve from pain. It is an archetype that many of us struggle with because it manifests as an addictive personality. And if you've ever struggled with an addiction, or if you are struggling with an addiction, you will know what I mean, because when you're dominated by the lover archetype, addictions normally take the form of alcohol, drugs, sugar, comfort foods, or gambling, shopping. Sometimes it's, in these days, it's social media and all this other myriad of distractions in the external world that steal our energies. And it's also recognizable if you seek out distractions, or you have a lack of self-control, you bore easily, you feel pangs of jealousy or envy, you desperately seek a lover, boast about your achievement and even exaggerate the truth about them. If you are irritable, gluttonous, frivolous, overindulgent, self-absorbed, promiscuous, insensitive and arrogant, these are all the signs of an undeveloped lover, which is bursting to be released and to provide you with a richer quality of life that this energy can actually bring if you integrate it into your conscious personality. So hang in there. You can overcome addictions and you can learn to live from a love-based centre. Now once you do this, you build meaningful and productive relationships with people that provide all the love, support and emotional well-being that you need. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, that the wounded lover comes online if you didn't have a good relationship with your mother, or rather if your mother wasn't nurturing, nourishing authority in your younger years. And nurturing figures are usually the mother, but they can be the grandmother, aunts or older sisters. Now, I know my lover is still wounded because I'm still not connecting with my mother or my sister. I don't seem to have any fluent interactions with them. The connection I have with them is constantly gets blocked and does not flow smoothly. Conversation doesn't flow smoothly. So I know I have more work to do. So watch until the end of this video and I will explain how I intend to fix this. I also know I have a wounded lover because I have an addictive personality, and I have done since I was a teenager. And my most destructive addiction was marijuana, which started around the age of 19 and got progressively worse during my 20s. Now, although I didn't feel the need for marijuana during the day whilst I was at work, the first thing I did when I got home was to roll a joint, and some nights I didn't even eat because I just wanted to get stoned. Now this was really because at the time I was writing fiction in the evening, because that stimulated my emotional well-being, if you like. It inspired me, and it gave me a sense of excitement. Now whilst writing began as a hobby because of this, when I was around 21, purely because TV didn't interest me and I needed something to do in the evenings, and because I was always dreaming up scenes, plots and one-liners, writing fiction was a good choice for me to channel my creative energies and pass the time, essentially. But it was the weed that sparked my imagination. So whilst writing was a constructive pastime, I convinced myself that I needed to smoke weed to get the creative juices flowing. Now later on this turned out to be a lie. Whilst it is true that marijuana does help me to get the ideas out quicker, the truth is that the ideas are still available to me, they just take longer to manifest into conscious awareness. I also convinced myself that I needed weed to get into the zone. That also turned out to be a lie. I later discovered that I can get into the zone, and not only that, I can actually stay in it for longer because my mind is not distracted by racing thoughts dragging me off in different directions, which happens when I've been smoking weed. Now I know from experience that overcoming habits is the hardest thing you can do, especially when you are hardwired towards a particular attachment and you've convinced yourself that you can't function properly if you have not had your fix. But as I've said before, attachments such as addictions are merely a source of comfort in the moment. You don't actually need them. You turn to them because your ego associates with them because it thinks it provides you comfort. Your ego loves these things and has a union with them. And this is what the lover archetype is. Like lovers, it forms a union, a bond. Two become one, I think the Spice Girls sang. So, how do you overcome addictions or attachments? Now the best place to start, I believe, is with self-acceptance, which starts with practicing self-compassion, or to put it another way, self-respect. When your habits are destructive, you start hating yourself, your situation, and the world around you. And that is not a good place to be, as we are seeing by the state of the world today, which is filled with anger, hate, opposition and war. After self-acceptance, you can then move on to accepting other people for who they are and for how they are, without feeling antagonized or triggered or defensive or any of these other emotions that are fueled by hate and fear. When you do this, you stop retaliating and defending yourself, which are grounded in fear. Fear is the opposing force to love. So if you do have an addiction or a destructive habit, then try to put yourself in a situation where it is not accessible, or at the very least get somebody to help you with that. But here's a word of warning: whilst cutting yourself off from an addiction won't cure your addiction, it will at least make it easy for you to practice self-respect and self-acceptance without feelings of self-hate, regret and failure getting in the way of your efforts to integrate the lover archetype. So if you feel as though your ego is being held captive by the energy of the wounded lover, I recommend addressing your issues and healing emotional wounds by learning to connect with yourself and other people on a deeper level. So ditch superficial relationships with people that don't nourish your emotional well-being, and get comfortable with expressing how you feel with people you can trust. And sometimes the best place to start with that process is with a counsellor, a therapist or a life coach. And I'm here if you need me, because I understand what it's like to be a wounded lover and overcome addictions. So if you need my help, then please head over to the Mastermind Content website, click on the self-development tab along the menu bar at the top, scroll down to the bottom of the page and book a session with me, either a single session, 3 sessions or 6 sessions. Alternatively, you can sign up for the Essential Self-Development Program and learn how to integrate all 12 archetypes as you move towards wholeness, happiness and fulfillment. I'm Richard Oldale and this is Mastermind Content. And don't forget to look out for part 3 of the Lover Archetype, which will be out next week. So subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button so that you don't miss a beat. Thank you very much for watching till the end, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.